Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow. If you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com. We still have the discount coupon code Turkey going on for a few more days. So if you want to sign up, go ahead and use the Turkey coupon, and the discounts are in the description link below. So let's dive in. I'll give you my financial opinions of what I see in the markets. So DXY, the dollar, relative strength indicator, we are heading lower, down 0.4% today, and we are heading towards a long-term support at the 101 level. It's still a good ways off, but that long-term support goes all the way across, coming back through history. So we've used that many times in history as a pretty long-term support level. The weakness does look like that will continue for the foreseeable future. So when we look at yields, let me open this up a little bit more. There we go. When we look at yields, we've got the 2-year yield. Look at that thing drop. Look at that thing drop. So we knew this thing had a likelihood of potentially dropping in terms of yields. And this could mean that the Federal Reserve may look at lowering yields, and we could see a potential slowdown. So there could be some worries in the market unless the Federal Reserve's the one in there buying these things down. But we've broken to the downside of this pattern here. We had large selling pressure here, bearish engulfing, large selling pressure, and another bearish engulfing here, which went up into a squeezing pattern that blew to the downside. So that's the setup there in the short term, and in the medium term, I think there is still more downside left as we've broken through that support level. Now this could go down a good ways. We could compress a good amount. Now, if we beeline it down to the downside, if this thing really drops, then that's generally a precursor to a potential slowdown in the markets. And that's something we'll watch for. So that's what we're looking for. We're also seeing gold, silver, and all of those precious metals really start to take off, which is another beginning sign of a potential slowdown. The 10-year yield also selling off today quite dramatically, down 1.18, not as much as the 2-year. But generally, if there's a problem, the short end of the curve dives pretty quick. That's what we're seeing. Short end of the curve diving pretty quick. So we could see this dive further as the longer end of the curve is generally more anchored. And if the short end dives lower, that's where you get the uninversion of the yield curve. The 10-year yield, slightly lower, but still pretty well anchored at this moment. I'll extend that out. TYX-TNX ratio, this is the ratio I follow to kind of see how this is reacting in terms of the yield curve. I use the 30-year and the 10-year, which is the longer end of the curve. This correlates very well with gold. Now, if we get a move higher here, which I think is most likely probable, I think gold's going to rip it. These are highly correlated, and with where we are at the location of where we're at a very low location down here. This is generally a very ripe opportunity to look at precious metals and the mining equities. So we had a move higher today, total tailwind behind precious metals. We had a weaker dollar. We had yields on the short end dropping. All tailwinds for higher precious metals. Bond price is holding in there. The one thing that's weird is I would have projected this to go lower out of this pattern here, but we are heading higher to the upside. Makes me think that the Federal Reserve is in there messing with things. We also have evidence that they are buying treasury bills and other instruments. So they very well could be. Tough to say. Here's the 2 and 10, and it did drop today, which means the yield curve is uninverting. But it's not broken through any support levels that would make it, we'll say, important. It's dropping, but we're still above support. So gold ripping it today about $30 higher. We're at $2,042. Now, if we close the month out at this level, we are now at all-time highs for a monthly closing, which I expect it to occur. So, good job, and I would be highly bullish on gold, silver, platinum, and maybe even palladium. I'd say gold, silver, and platinum for sure. Palladium, I've mixed things, but I am bullish on the longer term on it. But this is getting pretty bullish here. And on a monthly closing, I am going to get even more bullish. The market conditions are there for this to continue higher if the 2-year yield continues to go down and the 10-year goes down with it. Looks very, very good and constructive. Silver clearing over $25 an ounce. That is where we want to sit and close above. It will be even stronger if we can close above a 25.15 area. We're at 25.05. We start closing above this, we're going to start to make new short-term highs. The beginning of a potential change from a downtrend, which has lower highs and lower lows, into higher highs and higher lows. And remember, silver is extremely volatile. This thing can rip at any point. So we get these big, large moves in silver when you break critical levels. Critical level broken here, ripped it. Critical level, if you extend it out, broken there, ripped it. There's your return move back to that critical level. That's your buy point. Come up, hit our head on resistance, and we could blow through this very much so if we can clear the $28 level. This pattern looks very similar to the previous pattern that we have. So if we come back, we do a bars pattern here. I'm just going to grab this kind of pattern here. Oh, I did not grab the pattern. This pattern is what I'm talking about, where it looks very similar. That is where I think this potential movement can go. So, and I cut off the whole top, but it's the same type of pattern. This lead in here is the lead in there. Get ready for a fun ride if you're riding the silver train, which I am very heavily. Platinum also moving on up, $25 today. Looks fantastic. Looks like we're starting to put in, hopefully, a new potential high here in the short term. Oh, here it is. It's right here. Boom. So hopefully we can get up above there, stay above it, get a good close, weekly close, break out of here, and get out of this bottoming pattern. We've also broken this squeeze up to the corner there. Palladium just moving sideways, still looks good. I think this is a false breakout. We can move that over here. And I think we'll eventually work our way up. XAU to gold ratio, ripping it today. Seeing money flows coming into gold and silver mining companies. Big bullish engulfing could be the double bottom. We did not break through. And I hope that this is the beginning of a break of this longer term downtrend line. This is a break. That's that break for line that need for happiness. We break that line, I am going to get uber bullish. Now, I'm already uber bullish. So we are coming on up. We've got good momentum. Let's hope the momentum can keep going. We've just broken the short-term downtrend line, which is this trend line going across here. We're starting to get above that. And then we've broken the short-term trend line here. We've broken that. So we've broken trend lines. We've come on up, and now we've got the big boy sitting up here. Let's hope we can break that. CRB index, we are coming into the corner here, and I think that we are going to break to the upside. Oil is a dominant player in this index. So I think oil is probably going to look pretty good when we go and we look at crude oil. Watch this. We have a falling wedge that could potentially break to the upside. This very much has the essence of wave 3 characteristics. Last bull market, we had rates fall and everything started to rally together. Oil, gold, silver, copper, etc., etc., etc. This very much has the same type of feeling, and hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's the case. CRB to S&P 500. I know we had a pretty sharp pullback here. People were probably getting a little bit worried. Maybe, maybe not. Again, this is a falling wedge. You can see we've got a nice big up candlestick today of outperformance for crude oil against the S&P or the commodity index, I should say. I'm looking for this to break to the upside and get a big old move to the upside. We have a monster move ahead of us if it moves all the way back to previous highs. If you are anywhere in any of these commodity stocks, when this happens, we'll be laughing and you'll be hitting refresh on your accounts quite a bit over the next few months, years, and seeing those account values change in a positive direction for you. So GDX, we're ripping through resistance, guys. There's our resistance, that blue line. We ripped through it, and here we are leaving some of that resistance. Gold's starting to break out. People are starting to get a lot more positive, and we are going to probably try to break through this back up, this flag pattern. We have a flag pattern here, flag pattern there. We're looking for a break to the upside to go to the promised land for those who hold gold and silver mining companies. GDXJ also participating and ding, 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 breaking through a downtrend line today. That is looking fantastic. Opportunities are all around us if you're paying attention. SILJ also breaking through some resistance. There's a resistance line going across. We're going to go after the next one. Let's see if we can break through it. Will it do it in consecutive days? I don't know what the path is, but all I'm going to say is it looks good. It's got momentum, and I would bet that it continues to the upside, whether it be a grinding fashion or a big old move. Crude oil looking pretty good, up 2%. We broke the downtrend line here. We had bigger buying pressure, smaller selling pressure coming into a bigger buying pressure day. It looks fantastic, and I think that it's trying to bottom here, and I'd be looking for a potential move to the upside or maybe a little bit more sideways action before that occurs. We are sitting on top of a gigantic pattern. This is your consolidation pattern. We've broken out of that consolidation. We've done a retest, and I would be looking for a move to the upside. This looks very similar to the lead-in patterns. The lead-in pattern that I see looks like this. And that is when we generally rip. That's the same lead-in pattern as the one that occurred here and the move higher. It's the same pattern, and they just shift a little bit. So that's what I'm seeing in there, in that pattern there. TTF natural gas, we are still above support. That's the support line here going across, and we are flagging out on top of it. Generally a good indication of a potential move to the upside. Now, natural gas is heavily dependent on weather, and weather we don't have control over. So this pattern is formed based off the perception of the weather that is coming, but the weather has to deliver. That's what I'll say there. Nat gas on Henry Hub up a little bit, 0.25%, but we do have some warm weather coming ahead of us. So it could be a little bit of a mixed bag. Be patient with natural gas. The online capacity is coming in late 2024. XOP, yeah, you know me, still below that big neckline, and I'll show you what that looks like, but still looks very good. We have very little selling pressure in this circle there. We've got a couple of good candlesticks on the bottom showing support. And what I'd be looking for is upside movement now that we've seen crude oil kind of break its downtrend. So I'm looking for upside strength. I know people are incredibly bearish on oil. They're probably looking at the 2-year yield. They're looking at the weakness of the yield curve potentially and possibly on inverting. There could be some weakness that lingers in the oil and gas names in the short term. But let's see if we can break the neckline. That's what I'm hopeful for over some, hopefully, short-term period. OIH also heading slightly lower today, but still, it looks okay. It does not look bad. It's not getting sold off in a rapid fashion, at least not yet. And we're in this upward channel. Profits Uranium Trust still moving up a little bit. Still looking good. Still looks good to go higher. Not much selling pressure. Bullish engulfing today. Just moving sideways. Still looks good. URA, a little bit of selling pressure today. It is a bearish candlestick. We have one here and here. There could be some downside potential. It's a pretty small pattern. Maybe it's creating like a little double top here that we come back and come back here or something like that. But a little bit of downside pressure or sideways motion over the next few maybe days. URNM exhibiting the same type of characteristics. But again, guys, these are very small short-term patterns. This could change in a heartbeat. So I'm not betting on the short term here. I'm betting on the long term. Momentum's upward. Short term, we could see a little bit more sideways action, but that could reverse very quickly. And URNJ, same thing. It's a bearish engulfing today. We have one here. We could see some downside, action here. Maybe even like a small little downward wedge or something like that before we move on up. But that could change very quickly. I'm not betting on the short term here. Pan up 1.5%, looks good, go higher. That is a bullish engulfing. We've broken the downtrend. This is where I'd be taking positions if you are a solar bull. That's exactly where I'd be looking. COPX up 2.15%. Copper's looking fantastic, big bullish engulfing. The downtrend line, just to show you there, is broken. I think we're going higher. COPX looks incredibly good from a long-term perspective. This is one to be looking at. Lithium, bullish engulfing today. I think it's going to go higher. What does it look like? We've got a broken downtrend line. Throw this on here. It's wedging up into that broken downtrend line. If you like lithium, I would be looking at it right now. REMX, another one that has broken its downtrend. It's doing a return move. I would be looking at REMX or your favorite companies that are in this sector. I think we should be looking for potential move to the upside. If we get that move, I would be bullish on it. That's what I'll say there. S&P 500 still holding in strong. Looks okay to continue higher. We haven't broken this downtrend or this uptrend line to the upside yet. We could use it as resistance where we come on up, hit our head, and get rejected and come back down. Could be a very nasty wake-up call for some people who think that the S&P 500 is going to infinity. NASDAQ also looking good, continuing to move higher. I'm going to extend some of these out. We haven't broken those trend lines yet. To me, I don't like the way that this thing looks. That is me. I know some people are bullish. They're calling for bullish things. To me, this looks like the Batman pattern. That could head lower. Hey there, Batman. What's going on, buddy? That's what it looks like, and it does scare me a little bit. Why do I think that could potentially occur? Go check out the 2-year yield and the short end of the curve falling. What I'll say. KRE, we are still looking good to move higher. I know that sounds weird. It's regional banks, but I think we could potentially head higher. Lower yields relieves a little bit of the losses, the pressure of the losses on the bond holdings that some of these banks have, and maybe they're going to create more loans against all the homes that we haven't built yet because of that shortage. Emerging markets, it is loving that um, it's loving that declining dollar and declining yields. This looks good to continue higher. Emerging markets looks fantastic. And don't even get me started on some of the other emerging markets because they look fantastic in my opinion. XHB still looking good in that sideways channel, and I think we will continue higher. It looks fantastic from that perspective. This could also be a Livermore accumulation cylinder, which will net us. It will net us a land it will forward us to a land far, far away from where we are at today. This could be number 7 down here at the bottom there. Breaking to the upside, matching KRE. KRE is providing the loans to the home builders, and the home builders are providing those loans against the homes, and that's where it all comes to fruition. Could this come back down and we cycle back that way and this be number 7 down here? It very well could be. I could be prematurely putting 7 here. We could get a pullback where 7 is actually down here. So that is a potential path that I might have drawn on this home builders. It might be a little bit, we might get one last hiccup if we get a scare in the market. Just to let you know. Moo also had a little bit lower today, but still looking good. Looks like it's trying to base out. Copper looking fantastic, putting in a bullish engulfing. This looks good to go higher. It looks very good. Copper could see a big move here. A lot of the diversified mining companies also looking pretty good. Iron ore down 0.44%, but again, not a big selling pressure day. We are moving higher. Momentum's to the upside. Looks fantastic. Aluminum still stuck between its support and resistance. I think it will move higher if we see a lot of these other base metals move on up. Baltic Dry Index continuing to move higher. Looks fantastic. And it looks to me like that could continue. Newcastle coal futures down a little bit, getting the blues with the natural gas. But again, I think this is a good location to be looking. We are sitting on top of support and we are starting to base out. That's that trampoline jump that I talk about all that time on top of a base. Good buying opportunity that exists across all of the commodity areas, not just Newcastle coal. Coin, a function of liquidity starting to break out of its pattern to the upside. And I think that the upside will continue with that momentum and the chart setup that we've got here. Looks like it's going to be breaking, which we've done, and continuing to the upside. Ethereum also looks fantastic as we are sitting on top of major support, resting before what I think will be a big move to the upside. So that's what we've got for today. Why do I think there's a big move to the upside? Because it looks like liquidity is coming back into the markets, even though the bond yields are dropping. Weird as that is, almost as if someone's buying them in the short term. But either way, guys, this is looking fantastic. Across the board, it looks pretty good for all the commodities. It looks pretty good for Bitcoin, Ethereum. It looks good for copper. Looks good for crude oil. Nat gas might lag behind a little bit, and gold and silver. We keep this momentum, guys. We are going to rip it. It's going to be a squeeze. So that's what we've got for today. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. If you haven't, Turkey's your coupon code. Look for a question and answer session coming up this weekend. I think it's on Sunday, 5 p.m. Pretty sure about that. So Sunday, 5 p.m. Check it out. I've been a little bit sick the past few days, guys. A little under the weather here, trying to get back to my normal self. We'll get there. So, all right, guys. We'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.